How's it going, everybody? This is Dave Meltzer. We're here with Bryan Alvarez. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours talking pro wrestling as well as mixed martial arts. We've got quite the show today. First hour, we are going to be joined by Frank Shamrock, who's got a whole lot on his plate, which we will be talking about soon, including the IFL on Friday night in Oakland at the Oracle Arena. Frank Shamrock's team, the San Jose Razor Claws, against Ken Shamrock's team, the Reno Lions. He's also going to be headlining the debut of mixed martial arts on Showtime on February 10th against Renzo Gracie. And, of course, hour number 2, most likely AbyssAJ Styles. Of course, he's in the ring right now with Rhino. They're doing a last man standing match, opening the TNA pay-per-view. We'll be covering the TNA pay-per-view as it goes along. So, anyway, that's what's happening. We've had quite a lot going on this week. On, of course, last Sunday, Triple H tore one of the tendons in his right thigh, and he had surgery on Tuesday afternoon, and he will be out of action 4 to 6 months, which changes WrestleMania, which is, in fact, they're working on a new WrestleMania right now. And so that's a big thing with WWE. And, of course, we haven't talked about this yet, but WWE working on, in fact, Donald Trump, I know that people think they saw Donald Trump on Monday in that horrible segment, but Donald Trump will be appearing on Raw sometime soon to build for an appearance at WrestleMania. So lots of stuff going on, in WWE and on the show. Styles and Rhino opened with a really hot match. Also want to mention that in the pregame show, Lance Hoyt beat Chase Stevens when A.J. Przinsky, actually after the match, A.J. Przinsky hit Lance Hoyt with a chair after Lance Hoyt went after Dale Torborg. So lots of stuff there building to a pay-per-view match with David Eckstein, not wrestling, thankfully, and nor will A.J. Przinsky wrestle, but that will be next month on TNA Against All Odds, which will be February 11th. So that's stuff going on. 30-minute Iron Man match with Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle coming up in just a couple hours, so big night. Bryan, what's going on?
I just managed to successfully order the TNA pay-per-view, so the day is now going all right.
What happened? What happened?
It's a long story involving Comcast and credits, and it's now been a month straight I've had this problem, and I think I've called them about 84 times, and the situation never changes. So
AJ and Rhino just lost it in the match for a split second. But that happened to me once where they thought I didn't pay the bill, and I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to note,
too,
that
they won't let you order a pay-per-view. That happened like 7 years ago to me.
The last 4 weeks that it's happened, it's taken me about 15 minutes to get through, and I called today during the TNA pay-per-view and went right through, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not.
Well, what do you think? Compared to what? Compared to like the UFC pay-per-view or WWE?
Yep.
Yeah. Bryan, you watching the pay-per-view right now?
It's actually in the other room, so no.
Okay. Well, AJ Styles won the first fall with a springboard splash off the top rope. It's not a best of 3 falls or anything like that. It's last man standing, so this thing is...
Last man standing after a pinfall?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, you do a pinfall, and then you've got to be up by 10 seconds.
I see.
So that's the story of the show tonight.
Perfectly logical.
So far. It's going to be an interesting show. Bob Backlund is here, by the way. Did you know that Bob Backlund did a promo before in the pregame show?
I did not know he did a promo.
I wish I had taped it because I didn't expect it. He did a promo with Letitia. Can you imagine? Just think about this. Oh, my
God.
Letitia, okay? Like, totally inexperienced, right? I mean, it's like, unless she's like with Conan or Kevin Nash, she can't even, do a segment. Rhino, by the way, just won fall number 2 with the Spine Buster. So you just had to see Letitia, like with Bob Backlund doing his, old WWE 1997 Bob Backlund bow tie rant, and having just like absolutely no clue how to react. As Bob is explaining to her, does your mother know that you dress like this? And she says, I haven't lived at home in 10 years.
Well, it's just a real honest reaction now.
Yeah, you had to see it. It was like watching Rebecca.
I don't know.
Well, what, you like
Rebecca sets new standards. This Letitia girl,
no,
the first week she was really bad.
Not in that segment she wasn't.
Yes, she's improved, and Rebecca has not improved.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. Speaking of that, ECW television, we haven't talked about that in a while. That's freaking awful.
I was going to say there's no real reason to talk about it.
Okay, well then let's not.
Well, I'll say something.
Okay.
I used to skip, as I'm sure everybody did, and I still do, the internet heat, and I never watched Velocity. And, you know, every day that I watch that ECW show, it ends, and I think, there's an hour of my life I'll never get back. This is actually maybe a worse version of Velocity, and I still watch it each week, and I'm not quite sure why I'm doing it still.
It's because it's still something...
It's not newsworthy. Nothing ever happens.
Okay, well, but the difference is that the guys on Heat and Velocity never work on pay-per-views, and you know, like they're shooting an angle for some match at the Royal Rumble, although they have no idea what the match is yet.
Sure. I mean, I guess if it's Royal Rumble coming up, you know, maybe I'd watch a week prior and maybe a month prior to ECW, the actual pay-per-view if they run it again. But just like imagine from February through May what that show is going to be. It'll be the same show every week for 3 months while they try and build up one match for a June show.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if they're going to do a June show this year.
It's on the books, but that doesn't mean much.
Well, I mean, it's on the schedule, but I guess it depends on a lot of things. You know, the main one probably being the December to December buy rate when that thing comes in.
What pay-per-view buy rate number just came in?
Cyber Sunday.
And it was like 135?
It was like 230.
Oh, 230, really? Wow.
230. Yeah, it was you know, I mean, it's you guys
and that's
know
close to a final number, too.
What?
That's close to a final number.
Yeah, it's close to a final number. I wasn't surprised. I mean, I thought it would be, you know, it was a Raw show. You had the three champions against each other. Maybe it was maybe slightly higher than I expected. I don't know.
Now, does the 230, that's close to a final number, that includes the overseas buys?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so we're looking at 160 or so?
150, probably with the late additions, probably 160.
160.
Yeah.
So the 130 domestic may be accurate for the ECW show.
Who knows?
I can't imagine it being any higher.
You never know. I mean, there might be those ECW diehards that won't watch the TV and everything, but still thought maybe there was hope.
They're diehards that won't watch the TV?
Well, yeah. You know, because
they're very diehard.
They've moved. Well, okay, they've moved on, but they'll still buy pay-per-view because the two ECW one-night stand shows they liked, and there was an Elimination Chamber. You got to remember, Elimination Chamber has always been a big draw. Now, it may not have been this time with the people they had in it, but it may have helped. It may have helped.
We've got Frank Shamrock on the line.
What's up, guys?
Not too bad. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing all right.
Good. How's training?
Training is long and grueling and good.
Mm-hmm.
Usual.
Are you doing the training similar to the Rich Franklin from All Access?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch the show, but
Just basically kind of a weight workout and just going from station to station to station nonstop.
no, I do more of muscular, core specific kind of workouts. I don't mix my muscular conditioning with my cardiovascular training all that much.
Okay. Now,
So that way it's a little different, I guess.
You've got a lot coming up. In fact, so much that I'm wondering if you can keep it all straight. But, of course, Friday night in Oakland, you're going to be coaching IFL, San Jose Razor Claws against Reno Lions, Ken Shamrock versus Frank Shamrock coaching. And then February 10th, the first Showtime Mixed Martial Arts event, you're headlining with Renzo Gracie. Now, I guess, first of all, how did the, you know, and I guess a lot of people know, what's up with Phil Baroni? Where does that stand as well?
Well, Phil's still on the list. He just, you know, he's hard to sell pay-per-view with, so he kind of got on the back burner for a minute, but we got him under contract, and, you know, I'll finish up with him when I'm done with Renzo.
Is there a time frame for that, or, you know, are you going to wait after the Renzo match and then kind of arrange it from there?
Well, we got to kind of wait. We really wanted to go April 20th, and we had the arena behind us, but there's just a little too much risk with a fight that close on, you know, particularly on myself, so they wanted to beg off on it, and, you know, I'm fine with it. It's not like I'm going anywhere, and I'm certainly not getting any younger, so I'm going to get it when I get to it. But Phil Brony thing, there's a lot of heat behind it, and I'm very interested in doing it. It's just, unfortunately, when you walk into a pay-per-view meeting, no one's ever heard of Phil Brony, so it's hard to get some good energy behind it.
As far as this thing coming up with Renzo Gracie and the first Showtime show, what type of stuff is being done to sell this show to, fans that, just fans in general? I mean, do you have anything that you're doing? Do they have shows coming up like preview shows or things like that?
Yeah, I know they got Barker shows. They came out and shot a pretty lengthy Barker show, not only on myself, but also in promotion of the fight. They're reaching out to Comcast and a bunch of the other, television entities to get their support or whatever. But, I'm trying to do as much training as possible and kind of avoid the other stuff, but it's all necessary. I think they have a fairly sound marketing plan, associated with it, but I guess we'll see.
As far as your thoughts on Renzo Gracie, are you going to try to go to the ground with him, or do you want to keep it standing?
Well, I'd like to keep it standing. I think he's, really weak on the stand-up, and, I always try to go where it's easiest, but, to me it doesn't really matter. I don't think he has the speed and the agility to compete on the ground anyway, so, but I think I can knock him out in a minute or two.
Mm-hmm. What's, as far as, how as far as, is your hand 100%?
Yeah, hand's all healed up. Having any problems with it at all, and punching harder than ever. So I'm doing a pro wrap now every time I train, which has been helping my wrists and my hands. But I haven't any problems with it. Healed up nicely.
Now, you broke it on Caesar's head, correct?
I did, yeah.
I know it's kind of a strange question, but did that surprise you that you broke your hand on a man's head?
It didn't surprise me that it could have happened. It surprised me that it did happen, because I've been in, 40 fights or whatever, and I've never hurt my hands, ever. I break my feet all the time, but never in my hands. So I think it was a combination of a bad wrap and a weird punch, and then, time just caught up with me. I mean, it happens.
When you were in that fight in San Jose, what was your thoughts coming out? I mean, as far as and going back, this fight was almost a year ago now, because it was March of last year, and kind of out of nowhere, this promotion in its first mixed martial arts show set a record that's as big as UFC has gotten in the last year. The UFC still hasn't topped, as far as the largest attendance. And what did you learn from the marketing of that show? And we'll talk about the fighting later, but as far as the marketing of that show, because I know you're a big student of that right now, and you have to be.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, we had a combination of things that worked for us. We had a very old story, which had a lot of, which at the beginning of the sport was kind of the foundation of, of the sport kicking off. Then we had the first event in California. And then we had an arena supporting us, which was pretty big, and very few people have that. And I worked my butt off in the media. I mean, pushing it and pumping it and selling it, and being available. I mean, I did Channel 11 News live, at the weigh-ins, as I was walking into the weigh-ins. So it taught me a little bit about the just continuing the storyline and being available in the media at all times, because, it was like 24 hours a day we were doing something silly for the media. But it all paid off, and, we used those lessons to build future shows, especially here in California, because California and San Jose are just tremendous venues for mixed martial arts, especially when you get the right story.
What got you to do those internet promo type things that you've been doing a little bit? You haven't done them of late, but you were doing them like a month or two ago.
Well, the truth was I put a lot of money, time, and energy into getting the Baroni thing going. And, when it came down to it, he wouldn't sign the contract to fight. And it was really frustrating for me, because I invested a lot of time and energy into it. So I kind of went back to, how it all started, and it all started with Phil Baroni on the Internet, using the Internet to basically call me out and build himself a story that would get himself, into the ring of the cage with me. And some of my younger students and employees were like, you know what, you should go back to the roots of how it all started and basically force him to, own up to his word. And, as silly as the videos were and as fun as they were to make, they accomplished the end goal, which was we got him to sign, and we got him in my world again.
What's your goal as far as, you've got these 2 fights? I mean, do you have any kind of a long-term goal of what you do at, now you're 34 years old? There's money in this like there's never been before, and it's kind of worked out real well for you, actually, real well for you. What kind of goal do you have as far as for this year and maybe as far as your fighting career?
Well, for fighting, I'm down to fight whoever. I've never stopped training and never stopped doing what I love to do. So I'm physically, I would say better off than a lot of these older guys. Saved my body, saved my mind, and I've been working on my business and my marketing ability in the interim. My goal is to, brand the Frank Shamrock brand as the face of mixed martial arts. I mean, there's very few people that, can walk it, talk it, and have actually done it, and can present themselves in a way that's available to TV and sponsorship and networks and films. And, I think I'm that guy, and I'm going to keep pushing for what I believe in, and that's, real athletes in mixed martial arts, and I'm going to keep training the young guys to take my spot. But I figure I got 3 or 4 more years where, I can tear through these guys and basically take over the sport.
Right now, there's a 3-way with Chris Sabin, Jerry Lynn, and Christopher Daniels for the X Division title. Frank Shamrock is with us, who is one of the, go back as far as a kind of a pioneer in mixed martial arts, then out of it for many, many years as far as being a competitor, and now coming back. And, I guess, one question, what type of an offer did you get from the Showtime people and Pro Elite? And what is your deal? Because you're not technically signed with the group. Are you still a free agent? Is it like a 1-fight deal, or is it a multiple fight deal?
I did a multiple fight deal, and I can't really say exactly what my offer is, but I'm making a lot of money, and I have ownership in the company.
Oh, you have points in the company?
Yes. Okay.
So now what? So with that, what type of things are you looking for? What type of growth? And then how often can you fight? And how often is Showtime going to be? Showtime and Pro Elite going to be running shows?
I think they want to run, upwards of 4 to 6 shows a year. So I think this next year they'll actually do 4 shows. And I'm scheduled to fight twice a year with those guys, with Showtime. So, I think they're going to try to ramp up and do as many as, 6 to 10. I think I think Showtime is real serious about making a play as a network, distributor in the market of mixed martial arts. So,
now, do they have any kind of a time frame for their first pay-per-view?
They had mentioned to me around September for Showtime pay-per-view.
Okay.
So, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I think it's obviously it's a tremendous vehicle to reach out to a different audience. And, with the network behind it, if they get behind it and do the promotions and the marketing, I mean, I think, we could be up there with, the Tyson numbers of pay-per-view.
Now, are you doing ring or a cage?
I have no idea.
Wow.
I think we're in a cage. It never mattered to me because it's, a fight is a fight is a fight. So last I heard we were going to be in a cage, but this is a new organization. Showtime has their say as well, and I think it depends on a lot of people collaborating to get it done.
Is there like a deadline to get all this stuff handled, or is it just pretty much the first show?
I have no idea. Currently, I am just nose to the grindstone training my ass off. So, I'm letting all the ties and pencil pushers take care of the particulars, and my main focus is fighting this right now.
In a fight, you said like there's no difference. I mean, strategically, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Because you fought a lot in the ring. Early in your career, you fought mostly in a ring, and then in the UFC career, of course, you fought in a cage exclusively. So, what's pluses and minuses of each?
Well, it's mostly just awareness and, using, in a cage, you use the third, wall, if you will. You have a stagnant wall that you can kind of not only push against, but also push off of. It's also a hole if you get caught into it. The ring makes it a little more free-flowing and forces you to be a little more aware positionally of where you are. But, really it goes down to people's styles. If you got a style that's flexible, you can bend towards whatever environment you're in. I think that's what mixed martial arts is really about. And to me, it never mattered to me.
Do you think that the cage favors a wrestler, or do you think that that's really overplayed?
No, it totally favors a wrestler.
Okay.
Wrestling is about balance, and wrestling is about control. And when you have an extra wall, or when you have another source to balance and control them into, it's a tremendous asset to you if that's your game.
And you mentioned as far as what are your thoughts? Looking back at how UFC has really exploded in the last year. Kind of beyond anyone's expectations. And your thoughts as far as you were in Japan during the build period of Japanese mixed martial arts. I mean, a lot of people probably aren't aware of this. Your early career, but you were with the Pancras organization almost from the start, from '94, I think, is when you started. So they had been in business for about a year, and so you fought there for several years before coming to the United States and fighting for UFC, and you were the middleweight champion there. As far as what happened in this country this year surprised you, or
Well, the speed of it has surprised me. I always knew, and I told everybody this, that this sport would be the next greatest thing. But the speed at which it has grown has been surprising, and it's grown even faster than I can keep up. I'm pretty savvy on the business side and on the marketing side, and it has literally skyrocketed, I think, beyond anyone's expectations. But, when I sit down and have these marketing meetings and these, money meetings with people, I ask them the age-old question as what has changed between this sport now and this sport, 8 years ago. And the answer is absolutely nothing. Society has accepted more violence. It's become okay now. And, the war is helping, and hanging Saddam is helping. But, our society now says it's okay to kick the crap out of people in a cage, whereas, 8 years ago it was a naughty and dirty thing that no one wanted to talk about.
You mentioned wanting to fight for maybe 4 more years. What are your thoughts on Randy Couture coming out of retirement in almost his mid-40s? And to you, is there like a certain age where you should just probably hang it up for your own good?
Oh, yeah. I mean, about Randy, God bless him, he got out before the money got huge. And I think he wants to get in and make some real money, which is, that's what we all got into this for, the dream of being the best and making a few dollars. For me, when it hurts too much or when I don't have it anymore, I'm not going to get back in there. I've always protected my body, my brain, and my brand, most important things. And when either of those start to diminish, I'm getting out.
What do you think about like Ken, in the sense, Ken's physical prime came before the huge money, but he ended up having, a great year, financially at least last year. I mean, in that situation, let's say you're 41, 42 years old and this thing goes to where you can make boxing numbers. Do you risk, tainting the legacy, let's say? But people think, and looking back as far as Ken's decision, do you think that Ken, hurt his reputation in a sense as far as coming back this year, yet, obviously he built the sport. Him and Tito built the sport, I think, this year.
Yeah, it helped and it hurt. It's risk assessment. How much, I look at it like this, how much money do you have in the bank and how much are you willing to risk for your brand? Obviously, Ken was willing to take the risk and, did it pay off? I don't know. Hopefully he's happy and he's comfortable and he got what he wanted out of it. I do know that he built the sport in the beginning and he built the sport in the new beginning. And I just hope he was compensated and he got what he wanted out of the deal, because otherwise, he's just another banged-up old guy who is, could have been a world champion or whatever the story is.
And Chris Sabin just won the X Division title. he pinned Jerry Lynn. So anyway, that's what's going on there on the TNA pay-per-view, and we're here with Frank Shamrock, and a couple of things coming on this coming Friday night at the Oracle Arena in Oakland. Frank Shamrock versus Ken Shamrock, not in a match, but coaching against each other in the IFL, which we'll talk about in a second. Of course, February 10th from South Haven, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, the debut of mixed martial arts on Showtime, the Pro Elite promotion, the first main event. Frank Shamrock against Renzo Gracie, which of course the Shamrocks and Gracie, that Shamrock and Gracie built the sport back in 1993 and 1994, and I guess it's the Shamrock and Ortiz and Shamrock and Gracie, even though a lot of it was your brother and some of it's you, were the most famous programs, I guess, if we use pro wrestling terminology, as far as in the U.S. at least, as for mixed martial arts. Frank, tell us a little bit about the IFL for people who don't know much about it and what your thoughts were. I know you did one IFL show so far and how your team is doing.
Sure. Well, I mean, about the company itself, they're the real deal. They're real, clean, well-structured, well-thought-out, very friendly, very professional company. All my dealings with them have been, straight on the up and up. There's been no weirdness. They've been exceptionally accommodating to fighters, talent, changes, coaches, whatever. So, I mean, I can't say enough about their business practices, and it's definitely a breath of fresh air in this type of industry. It's a team concept, so it's 5-on-5. Coaches pick a team, and you battle just like a regular league, like the NBA, like every other league out there. These guys get, they get a little salary, and they take care of them, and it feels like the beginning of a real professional sport. And in that way, I'm totally enjoying it.
When you watch the shows, is there anything, like you said, it's a very sports-oriented show. Is there anything that you would, if you had the power to do so, improve to? Do you like the all-sports style, or do you think that it should involve more entertainment? What's your thought?
I don't know. To me, it's a weird oxymoron because they've managed to take the most singular sport in the world and make it a team sport. So, right out of the gate, it's just a little different, but it is unique, and it's very, it's a very modern idea. So I wouldn't know what to change. I don't know enough about it. These are young guys. A lot of them don't have good camera training, camera presence. They know how to fight, and that's what they're presenting is a league for mixed martial arts. I don't know where they're going with it, but I love being a part of it, and it's drawn out a side of me competition-wise that I really, really enjoy because I love to compete and I hate to lose, and I have a chance to do that with all my young guys and my friends, and I'm fighting Boss's team next, and Boss and I have fought 3 times, and later on this year I'll fight Maurice's team, and Maurice is my coach. Just brings a different dynamic of the sport to the sport.
Is there any special feeling as far as, or special thoughts, going against Ken's team, being that Ken was your original trainer?
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, it's a little bit personal, and it's very professional. I've always wanted to compete against Ken in some way, whether that was fighting him or whatever, fighting his team. A little bit of me wants to show and prove, how much knowledge and, information and studying I did, without him, and how far I was able to go without, his guidance and tutelage. So, I mean, for me, it's, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Tell us a little bit about your team members and what they bring to the table.
Sure. My most not my most experienced, but my toughest guy is Josh Odom. He's a 155 guy, and former Marine, great kid out of Florida, and he's just an absolute killer on the stand-up and on the ground. My 170 guy is Ray Steinbeis. He's out of Arizona, a total banger, knockout power, college wrestler, nice kid. My 185er is Bryan Foster, and he's out of Orange County, and he is just an absolute warrior. Nicest guy in the world, owns his own tattoo parlor, married for 5 years, great guy. And my 205er right now is Rafael Davis, and he is a very accomplished college wrestler out of L.A., and super nice guy. And I just picked up a brand new heavyweight, and his name is Vince Lucero, and he's out of Arizona, family man. He's got 5 kids, and a total banger. But, I've been so successful in my career and in the sports I've done, fighting in various styles, because I've always had a really good team behind me. And that team has never really had a chance to step out in the limelight and be their own, unit. So for me, it's very personal for me, because now the guys that have always sacrificed for me and I've always beat on and I've always, made them bleed so I could be good, now is their time to shine. And I just love it.
Now, what's going on with Bryan Ebersol and the commission and everything? Is that straightened out, or is that still up in the air?
No, they straightened it out. What the final decision was, and I think it was just a political one, was there is a bylaw in the articles of the unarmed combatant, whatever, that says you have to try your hardest to win. And the final decision was Bryan didn't try his hardest to win.
Yeah,
so
he was trying to
they docked his pay, they suspended him for a while, and now they've, reinstated him as part of the game.
So now, is he going to be fighting in IFL or no?
No, he's going to move to Australia.
Oh, really? Oh, yes, I saw his name fighting in. So did he go to Australia to fight while he was suspended?
When he was suspended, I sent him over there. He did 2 fights, and he set up some very strong business relationships. He's going to go into real estate, and he's going to run an Australian Shamrock Martial Arts Academy for me.
Oh,
and,
okay.
He's got a girlfriend over there, and it's changed his life, and he's, he's become a new and different person, and, we see him spreading his wings and flying to something better, so we're all in favor of him going. We hate to lose him. He's my most experienced fighter, but, what's best for him is best for everybody, so away he goes.
So what was your reaction with Josh Thompson wearing the shirt at the last Strike Force show?
Well, I mean, it's been done before, so
yeah.
I one side of me was a little irked, and the other side of me thought it was kind of funny. That's, what do you do? I don't know. I was commentating, doing my thing, and my partner, Brian Weber, kind of tapped me on the shoulder and looked up, and I was like, oh, my God. And I didn't get it at first because I wasn't really part of the show. I was a commentator, but I thought it was nice of him to bring me in the show.
We're going to go to some phone calls. We're going to start with Ed in San Antonio. Ed, you're first up with Frank.
Hey, guys. Frank, you kind of answered my question, but maybe you can add a little more info. My question is, if a promoter came to you with the right amount of offer, like an ungodly sum of money, do you think you and Ken would actually get in the ring and fight?
I would definitely do that.
Do you think he feels the same way? Would Ken be willing to do it?
I don't think so. I don't know, honestly. I don't know how Ken feels. We don't have a close relationship, but, like we were mentioning earlier, we all got into this to be the best in the world, and some of us are the best in the world. And then second is we all got in it for money. And, you throw enough money at anybody, they'll do anything. I would love to fight Ken. I have no problem with it, be it personal or business. And I see it as a tremendous pay-per-view, and if we can all, benefit financially, God bless us.
Yeah, I think that would probably be like the biggest money maker of all time, if that was ever to happen.
You think so?
Well, I think so, too. If you want to start that ball rolling, I'll support it.
Another question I want to ask about a guy you fought a few times, Boss Rude. If Boss was in his physical prime today, how do you feel he would match up with Fedor?
Wow, that's a good question. I think that he would have some trouble. Boss never fought good going backwards. He was really good going forward. Fedor can fight forward, backward, sideways, and he's got tremendous power, in all directions. So I think on the ground they probably neutralize each other, but, Boss, who's known for his stand-up, I think would be severely tested by a guy like Fedor, especially if they're both in their prime.
Okay, and one last question. In regards to the Gracie that you're going to fight, Henso, is he I'm thinking a long time ago, did he once have a fight where after he won, he walked over the guy and stepped on
Yeah,
his
Ben Spikers about 12 years ago. It's 11, 12 years ago. I remember
That's
that fight.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I've never liked that one. I mean, I've liked Hoist and a lot of the other ones, but I never could stand him, and I just hope you beat the crap out of him when you fight.
Well, thanks, Ed, and I'll do that.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for taking my call.
Okay, we're going to go to, is it Mike in Sacramento? You're next up with Frank?
Hey, Frank, pleasure talking to you. My first question is, out of all your fights, what's the one you're most proud of?
Most proud of the, my Tito fight.
Oh.
It was really, for me, it was the highlight of my physical and mental and strategic ability. So it was, it was just, to me, it was a symphony that I played out on Tito's head, and I've never been more there at that moment. So,
yeah, is it true you, in your strategy, you kind of let him wear himself out?
100%.
Cool.
Yeah. And I talked to him the whole time and told him I was going to make him tired and knock him out. And I think that played in his psyche a little bit and got him going.
That's awesome. And I guess I'll just have one more question. Out of all the Gracies, which one do you think is most dangerous?
Well, I think Enzo is the most dangerous. He's got the most, gamemanship, I think. He has the most experience in, fighting top fighters. Everyone else, as I see it, they're either too old, too stuck in their style, or, they never really fought any competition. And, I think he's the best.
Half Gracie?
Half? Well, he's too small.
Oh, okay.
I'd turn his head around with one punch, and he'd be pretty much done.
Like Caesar. Thank you. Good talking to you.
Real quick, a couple questions. Number one is, what is your what's your body weight right now, and how much you're going to fight at 185? I'm presuming, and how much do you have to cut to make 185, and how hard is that for you to do?
Well, I usually get within 5 pounds. So right now, this morning I weighed 196.7, and I should be down to about 191 2 weeks from now. So I'm just now starting my 3-a-days, and as soon as I hit 3-a-days, it just melts off my body. So,
how hard is 180? Is it to make 185, or is that pretty easy for you?
That's nothing. All I do is I skip breakfast, I have fruit for lunch, and I'm 185 pounds.
Okay, and you're talking about 3-a-days. Why don't you tell everyone real quick what your 3-a-day training regimen, encompasses? Because I don't think people realize, during fight time, just how incredibly brutal your training really is.
Well, it's ridiculous. It's all day long. So, 9 to 10:30, I'm up doing muscular conditioning and technique. Every day at noon, I do my mitt work, my sparring, and/or my wrestling. And in the evenings, it's vascular training, stretching, balance, core. And each one of those sessions is an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours. I'm putting in 5.5 hours a day of physical activity.
And how important do you see conditioning as far as, not just in this fight, but in your comeback?
Well, it's the most important thing. I mean, I have a style that's based on speed, agility, and conditioning. All the techniques that I do are, maximize my body. They're dynamic. They're explosive. That's one of the reasons why my style is so aggressive. And the base of all that is having a good, solid machine that you can just floor the whole time. And mainly I make people tired. That's what I do. I make them tired. I make them doubt themselves, and I whack them in the head and put them to sleep.
Okay, good enough. Well, this one's strange. Austin Starr and Alex Shelley went to a time-limit draw, and then it was time for the judges, who were Bob Backlund, Simoleon Joe, which was a guy in a mask, and Tiny the Timekeeper, from Nashville, the fat guy who does in the thong.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, it was 1-1. This was the longest decision. This decision was longer than most UFC matches, and actually they're wrestling again right now. So, anyway, Bob Backlund, of course, was the deciding vote, and Bob Backlund talked for about 5 minutes, and when he was done, it appears, and again, I'm not hearing the sound of this, but anyway, it appears that they had no idea who he picked, and Alex Shelley has just pinned Austin Starr in a restart. So anyway, that's the deal on that match. Yeah.
What else have we missed so far in the last hour?
That was it. I mean, that and Chris Sabin winning the X Division title, and AJ Styles beating, or AJ Styles was lost to Rhino, I believe, and that's it so far. There are 3 matches, and some guys are coming out. Who's this? Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt are coming out. I guess it's like the whole, and there's Senshi, so it's like the whole PCS group. So maybe it's like, and Alex Shelley has a trophy. I don't know if it's a bowling trophy like they used before. No, it looks like a no, actually, it might be a bowling trophy. I shouldn't say what it may or may not be. But they're doing the big celebration where they're carrying out Shelley up on their shoulders, and Austin Starr is really upset right now, and he's looking like he's going to go crazy. And
so it was a swerve.
Yes, it was a swerve. So anyway, that's where we're at with this thing going on. We're going to go to Mitch in Berkeley. Mitch, what's going on? Mitch, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine, yes.
Excellent. What's going on, you guys?
Oh, we're just watching the pay-per-view, and that's about it.
Hey, I was wondering what you guys thought were the best matches of the year.
The best matches of the year. Being that I actually have just, I'm in the middle of working on the awards issue right as we speak, which is probably why I'm in half of a fog.
I figured.
The best matches of the year, let's see.
ROH. Why don't we start with ROH? Is it
ROH? A lot of them are ROH. The 6-man tag from, I believe it was March 30th in Chicago.
Oh, the Dragon's Gate? Or
the Dragon Gate guys was awesome. Bryan Danielson against Kenta. Bryan Danielson against Roderick Strong.
Yep.
The Austin Aries and Roderick Strong against the Briscoes was a great match. Bryan Danielson. McGuinness from Liverpool, England. That match was awesome.
That was phenomenal.
What a finish. I would never recommend that finish. In fact, I almost hope that, like, if any young wrestlers are, like, watching and see that tape, to maybe burn it or something, because that finish was
enjoy it, and then
but nevertheless, it was an incredibly compelling finish. But just, I would never, it was just too much for me. I don't know, Brian, what were your thoughts on that?
I'm actually watching the 2 weeks, because I've started watching everything from about June on, 1 DVD a week, so
wow.
I've seen the first match. I haven't seen the second match yet.
Oh, the unified match is amazing.
Well, I mean, he hard-weighed himself on the post. I mean, really hard to bust himself open. And I don't know if I recommend that.
The last one...
I don't recommend that. I'll tell you right now.
No, it's just scary.
And the last one looked really insane, where it seemed so voluntary. Like, I wouldn't call it a botched spot, but it just seemed as if Danielson was barely pushing, and McGuinness just went for it, was just going to bust himself open, and it was just so gnarly to watch.
Yeah, I think that they probably had a hard time shoving him there because nobody wanted to be responsible, and he was just bound and determined that he was going to do something that nobody could top, and that's what happened.
Do you think WWE would have interest in him since he's a big guy? Or
Nigel McGuinness, I mean, he was in OVW, and they didn't seem to have that much interest in him, although I don't know why, because he's an excellent wrestler.
And he's got kind of that, I mean, he's probably not as big if you put him in a WWE ring based on their standards. I don't know.
No, but he's probably, what do you think, Brian, 6'2"?
He looks big to me.
I'd say somewhere around there.
Yeah, I mean, I met him in, he was out here for one of the...
it's hard to tell in Ring of Honor because everyone else is so small.
Right,
yeah, but I mean, I saw him in Pro Wrestling Iron, and I thought he was 6'2". I mean, he has height. I mean, I saw someone like Misawa and Ogawa, and he was much taller than they were.
What do you think of his match at Glory by Honor 2, the one before the Danielson one with Marufuji, I think is his name?
The September match with Marufuji was excellent.
That was phenomenal. His spots on the side, on the top rope, that to me, that's one of the most inventive new spots in wrestling. I gotta tell you,
you think that's inventive? They used to. I saw that's an old Lucha Libre spot from like 30 years ago.
Well, for a guy like me that's just based on mainstream wrestling that just started getting into that, it's new to me, and so for me, it's exciting.
Oh, I mean, it was exciting for me too because I love seeing stuff I haven't seen in a long time. But that's like actually, that's. I don't know if I ever saw that in American wrestling, but I know I'd seen that stuff before. But that's what happens when you have these guys who watch the old tapes or talk to the old, the older wrestlers that know a lot of different styles, and you get that with Ring of Honor. Those guys are all such students of the game, and they give you that. I mean, it's the best product in the United States if you like great wrestling matches, and there's nothing that compares to it in my mind.
I thought the Cage of Death was fantastic also.
Booking-wise, I'll tell you what, booking-wise, I was so sold on Gabe Sapolsky as a booker. I've known him forever anyway.
Right.
But that was the one where it was just like, between that and Cornette and J.J. Dillon at ringside, it really just showed me, it was a booking thing of beauty, the way that whole story laid out. And, what was it, like a 45-minute match?
Oh, it was really long. And I love the spots where they would just jump, kind of Shelton Benjamin style, from the top rope onto the cage, and they'd glom on like Spider-Man.
Yeah, Van Dam's been doing that, too.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, we're joined by AJ Styles, who actually wrestled Rhino earlier tonight on the TNA pay-per-view. AJ, how you feeling?
A little beat up at the moment, actually.
And tell us a little bit about the story of the match that you had tonight.
Basically, we're ready to end this thing. Whatever's going on between Rhino and myself, it's time to be done with it. Last man standing. And when it came right down to it, I could have got up, but I'm not going to get up and get beat up some more. But it had a little thing set up there on the outside. I don't know if a lot of people got to see it, but I'll tell you this: I wasn't going through it, so I just took I'll take the loss and fight another day. I'm smarter than he is. That's why I am. I am who I am.
Now, where do you know where you're going next, as far as if you're going to wrestle? Who or if you're going to do another match with Rhino?
I think we're in the works for another.
Okay.
Something a little different.
Mm-hmm. So stemming from this finish will lead to another stipulation, probably?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Are you feeling beat up from tonight or just wrestling in general?
No, just tonight. I took a bad bump on the ropes, and I swear I about pushed my gut out my butthole or something. I'm actually really hurting. I don't know what's going on down there, but I springboard to the top rope, and at the same time, Rhino hit the ropes, so I gutted myself on those ropes. And if you guys, if you've touched our ropes, they're not soft ropes by any means. They're elevator cables, and so they're really tight. They're close together because of having 6 sides, so they don't budge very much.
And you've been through you work a very physically demanding style. Is it? Do you feel like as the years go on, it's harder to do that style, or do you feel like you're kind of like being able to make up for it with knowledge as the years go by too?
Yeah, I think the knowledge is definitely an important thing in my career. Psychology goes a long ways, and back when you're young, you can do all this stuff, but it really doesn't make as much sense as you would like it to. As you get older, you'll watch these old matches, and you're like, oh my God, that sucks. But the older you get, the smarter you get, and you find out ways to make stuff mean more, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
What when you look back on everything like that, I think some people know this. Actually, a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't. That I don't know, was it 5-6 years ago? You had the opportunity to go to WWE, go to WWE Developmental, and you turned it down, and you ended up being a pioneer with TNA. You were actually, and I think you'd probably be considered the first homegrown TNA star. Before some of the other guys started to really get over. And now it's been 4+ years, almost 5. What's your thoughts going back on how your career has turned out?
By putting my family first, it ended up being the best thing I could ever have done for myself. My wife was in college at the time, so I deferred and just said, I got to keep working at home. I'm not moving to Cincinnati and making my wife move in with her mom. That's just not how a family works, and I think God blessed me with it, with the opportunity to be at TNA. Because of what I did, and here I am. And I can tell you, man, I'm the most blessed guy on this planet right now. I am having the time of my life, and I've got a great job. I get to spend time with my family. I'm not on the road 24/7, although I am on the road a lot. There are times when I get to spend a lot of time at home, and that's a big plus for me, because I don't know what I'd do if I had that really a grueling schedule, and not being around my kids. And I'm about to have another kid, so I'm a lucky guy, man.
So you have one kid right now?
Do what?
You have one kid right now?
One kid and a -1 month kid.
How old is his son, right?
Yeah, I got a little boy. He's 20 months old.
Oh, wow. So he's really little.
And like I said, my other son, He's negative 1 month old.
So is your son talking now?
Yeah, he talks a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he's not carry on sentences, but he's definitely talking. So it's pretty cool to, every day he learns something new. And, the real cool thing about it is sign language. We teach him a little sign language so he can just tell us what he wants. And, it makes you feel good as a parent that you're actually teaching him something he's going to be able to use as he gets older. You never know. He may, teach another little kid that, and keep on going.
So with one child and another one on the way, have you purposely backed down on the number of independent dates you've been doing?
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely do want to work on the indies because I think that's how you keep your edge for the most part, and it stays fun. But then again, I don't want to be on a grueling schedule. But at the same time, I'm not going to turn work down either. But I can pick and choose, and that's good for me.
What's that? I mean, what's the optimum, or what you're looking at? Like, how many dates a month do you want to do, where you would think it would be, it's enough dates to keep you sharp, but not so many dates to where you lose your family.
Without TNA, I would say I'd like to do 6 to 8 around there, no more than that.
Now, have you been doing a lot of? How much overseas have you been doing of late?
Well, we did the Portugal trip, and that was definitely different, and that was the one, and of course Monterrey, Mexico, but that's not really overseas. But it's picking up, and most of it's been with TNA. I haven't really done anything overseas anymore. There was a company in England that I was working for, but it got shut down. So who knows where I'll go next?
Has anything happened with Japan? Because I know that when you were in Japan, I'm thinking a year and a half ago, you got really good reviews over there. And I know there's some of the promoters that really liked you, and New Japan liked you, and Fumi UI, and all that. So, what's is that just cooled off, or just something?
Yeah, I think Japan's cooled off for the most part. I don't know what's going on over there. The last company that I wrestled for was an independent group that may not even exist anymore, but I had a good time over there. It was Big Mouth. I don't know much about it, although that I had a good time over there, and they treated me like a superstar. But I really haven't been over there for anybody else since.
Now, by the way, just a surprise on the TNA pay-per-view show, I think that it is Jacqueline. Jacqueline from WWE has just attacked Gail Kim, so that's a newcomer on the scene. So I wanted to make mention of that because I didn't know she was there. But anyway, tell us a little bit about the trip to Portugal, because I know we just went there a little over a week ago, or about a week ago. And how are those shows, and how did that compare to some of the other stuff that you do?
Well, the only problem with Portugal is they're about 2 months behind, what we're doing over here. So it's it's a little weird. AJ Styles is, still very liked. So, but, going there as TNA, not just an independent group over there, but, everybody on the show was TNA pretty much. We had some Portugal talent. We don't need to talk about that any, believe me. But it was a great time. There was a huge walk-up on the second night. I don't know how many they were expecting, but, the crowd was definitely with it. They wanted to see some wrestling. The only problem is we were in a square ring, which, is not TNA. That's actually, that's a little independent, but, you work with what you got. They had a square ring, which, it's not like we're not used to it.
Now, how was Monterey?
Monterey, I don't know, man. I think there's a different kind of crowd, for Lucha doesn't supply the same crowd as American wrestling does, at least not where we were. And I don't know that they knew too much about us because we just got TNA down there, so they weren't familiar with TNA at all. I think they were just showing video. There wasn't an actual show down there. So, it was what it was. It was still, as an experience as always. Very nice place. Hope to go back.
When you go back, do you plan on working the same style, or do you think you're going to tweak a little bit?
Well, I'd probably work the same style. I mean, I don't know why I would change it.
When do you have any when Kurt Angle came? I don't think you've never wrestled Kurt Angle, and is that something that you kind of are looking forward to having a chance to do sometime this year?
Well, I actually got in there in a tag match for a little bit, and who knows? I mean, of course, I'd like to wrestle everybody on the TNA roster. We got a lot of great talent here, and I'd like to wrestle every one of them. So, time will tell.
Bunch of phone calls for AJ.
One quick question first. AJ, is there one match that sticks out as your favorite match that you've had in TNA?
Probably the same match that you're thinking of. If you're not, then probably you didn't see it. It was the match with Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and myself. I'm not sure which pay-per-view that is. But, we had a couple, but there was one that really stuck out.
And is there a match? You mentioned that sometimes you look back and you see things and think, God, that was horrible. Is there a match in particular that you recall that maybe a lot of people like, but looking back, you're not so fond of it?
Well, these are definitely matches back in when I was working on the independent scene, NWA Wildside, stuff like that. You look back and go, what was I thinking? That doesn't make any sense at all, So, there's not any matches at TNA where I'm just disgusted like I am when I watch some of his old ones.
I think a lot of people don't know this. You were on the show a couple of years ago, and that's when I found out about it. Was most people who started wrestling were big wrestling fans growing up, and you actually were an amateur wrestler. I think when you were wrestling in college, and you kind of drifted into pro wrestling. Tell us everyone kind of how that started.
Well, I wrestled all the way from high school to college. We actually started watching a lot more of it in college, and I quit. I don't know I was in college in the first place, I guess just to wrestle, because I didn't enjoy school, but that's another story. But I had some friends who really were big-time fans of professional wrestling, and I told them they found a place joking around that I would go with them, and lo and behold, they found one about 20 minutes from the house, and so I went with them and took a couple of bumps, and I was like, man, I can do this, and from then it grew.
And what happened to the other guys?
They quit. Yeah, I bet they're looking back and going, no, maybe we shouldn't have quit, so.
No, were you ever a high jumper or anything like that?
Never.
Because that's the one thing in your style that is probably the most impressive athletically is you can just the jumping ability makes for some really spectacular moves.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I didn't play basketball or anything because basketball season and wrestling season are at the same time, so I never played basketball. I don't know. I don't know where it came from. It just kind of happened.
I mean, did you know, like, before you were in professional wrestling that you had tremendous leaping ability, or did you get that from maybe wrestling drills, or was it something you were born with?
Well, goofing around in gym class, I could jump up there and, two-handed, grab the rim, wasn't a big deal. I never could dunk. I could just never get the, sometimes if I got a good alley-oop, I could get it in there, but it was hard for me to do it with a ball, just jumping up there. So I knew I had something, but it wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't really think anything about it.
We're going to start with Terry in Arizona, first caller for AJ. Terry, what's going on?
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Terry, speak up.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, hey, Mr. Styles, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Hey man, what's going on, bro?
Oh, nothing much. I just wanted to ask a question real quick since Dave and Bryan asked all the good questions. They shot down about 30 questions I had.
All right.
Okay, it's a little bit of a generic question, but I'll shoot it out there anyways. In the lineage of NWA World Heavyweight Champions Harley Race, Ric Flair, Tommy Rich, and Kerry Von Erich, where do you personally feel that your reign is going to end up?
That's a loaded question.
That's hard to answer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You guys. Thank you very much.
I'm kind of confused on, where does my reign end up? I hope it ends up, just for me to be remembered is good enough for me. Because, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on the world title, but you got to remember that X Division title is still a big part of AJ Styles. I mean, I really feel that could be as big as the world title, but who knows if that'll ever happen, and, who knows if I ever be in the running for the world title. I'm sure I will, but, I'm just as happy with the X Division title because I think to me it means just as much as the world title.
Did you make the decision to go from working in the heavyweight division back down to the X division for that very reason, that you wanted to make the X title perhaps at the level of the NWA title?
Well, I definitely told him I wanted to go back to the X division. That's my baby. So I wanted to go back there. I wanted to have great matches. Not that I couldn't have it in the heavyweight matches, but I got to admit, the X division is definitely my style. And
Uh-oh. Yeah.
think we lost the caller.
Yeah. One of the things. What were your thoughts? I mean, originally I think that the idea was, and things always change in wrestling, as you know better than anyone. You and Chris Daniels as a tag team, you had the matching outfits. You were having those great matches with LAX, and then the idea was now you're both singles. I mean, what are your thoughts as far as becoming a team with Chris, and then the team not lasting maybe as long as at one point maybe you thought it was going to?
Yeah, it was a little disappointing. I thought we had a longer run, ahead of us. So there's a lot of tag teams we didn't get to wrestle. I definitely want to wrestle 3D, and we didn't get the opportunity to do that. But, excuse me, Team 3D. Did I say that right? Okay.
It's fine.
But anyway, it was, it was what it was, and we do what we're supposed to do. We're out there to entertain, and wherever they need us, that's where we'll go. And we're definitely, I think, for the most part, I know Christopher Daniels is a very good singles wrestler. So it didn't bother us too much. It's just confusion on where it might go. That
spot, which is one of the great spots of the year, in the match with LAX where Christopher Daniels was in the Ultimate X match, that one finishing spot. Who came up with it, and how did that transpire?
Well, Chris actually said, that he wanted to do that spot, that jump, and I honestly tried to talk him out of it because I would never have thought to do that because it's too scary. I mean, you don't realize how high it is until you're standing up there on a little square of, it's just, and, I was afraid that it would bounce him right off, he falls on his neck, he dies, whatever. You just don't know how scary it is until you're actually up there and see how high it actually is. And for him to pull that off I'm like, man, that is definitely an ending of an Ultimate X that nobody expected.
Has there ever been a spot that you've wanted to do, or maybe somebody in one of your matches wanted to do, that you were basically just told, not a good idea, please don't?
I've never had that told to me. Usually I won't, if I think it's too crazy, I won't even ask. I'll just do it. If I really think I can pull it off.
What about they had a spot in you were on top of the cage? Remember that one?
Uh-huh.
Was that scary? Because I think you've done things that were probably in some ways more high risk, but you were 100 feet up there. The top of the cage.
The only thing we were worried about is actually going all the way through the other cage. The top of the roof.
Right.
Other than that, it was all good. That was definitely something different, and it was really high up there, so it would have hurt if we would have messed up and went through the cage.
What did you think? A spot that Jeff Hardy did, where you did a swanton way up there, several months back.
Right. That was
the one where when he was up there, I was, as a fan watching, I was going, please don't jump, because it was just like. I just thought that the margin of error on that one just wasn't. That was just too scary to me to watch.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, but I think it's once you get up there, you're like, well, I can't just get down, So once he got up there, I'm sure he went, oh crap, and then just jumped. And luckily, it was perfect.
We're gonna go to Johnny in Long Island. Johnny, you're up with AJ Styles. What's going on? Johnny, are you there?
Oh, Johnny.
Okay, Johnny's. We'll go to Phil in Arizona. Phil, what's going on?
This is Johnny.
Okay, go ahead, Johnny.
How you doing tonight, Dave? Brian, AJ, everybody.
What's up, man?
Just had a question for AJ. I was just wondering how you feel about your large following in the gay community.
The gay community?
That's just
because I think it's mainly attributed to your looks.
Oh, God. Get rid of them.
Well.
Oh, God. Okay, let's go to Phil in Arizona. Phil, are you there?
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll have a more intelligent question than our last caller.
Yeah, I was wondering, AJ, man, you're a great performer. I mean,
Thanks.
No aspects to ever appear in a WrestleMania? I mean, are we ever going to see you in WWE?
You know what? I don't know why I would ever want to go there, to be honest with you. We got a great thing going on at TNA. If you've seen it, then you know. It's a lot more action. We do stuff that they just can't physically do up there, and we're having fun doing it, man. This is a growing company, and this is definitely the place to be right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. AJ, speaking of that, what are your thoughts as far as expanding to a 2-hour television show? We know it's possible to happen, whether it does or doesn't or when. I don't know I don't think those decisions have been made unless you know something we don't know. But
no, I don't know. I don't know crap until I get to this office.
Yeah. So, but the one thing on the shows now is, you guys have a lot of really good wrestlers, but in the 1 hour show, because they're trying to fit so much stuff in, that you don't have the chance to actually prove it to people unless they're actually, the people who buy the pay-per-views and see these matches know that there's a hell of a lot of good matches on these pay-per-views, but the people who watch TV, especially newer fans, if they've only been watching for, say, a month or two, they really don't, I don't think they get the flavor of what is different, if you know what I'm saying. Because,
well, there's a lot of guys who deserve to be on TV, and an hour just doesn't do TNA justice. I would like to have two, but we're making the best out of one right now. And you know what? It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time, because I think that we're up here doing a great job as a wrestling company, working hard, and, good things happen.
Well, what was your thoughts when you heard Samoa Joe was coming, when he first showed up, I guess about 2 years ago or so?
My first thoughts were it's about time, because I know Christopher Daniels and I were talking to him about, bring this guy in, bring this guy forever, and finally they brought him in. Now he's, the biggest thing in TNA. So, like I said, I was thinking it was about time you guys listened to us and bring this guy in.
Is there anybody else that you've given suggestions about, either the indie scene, ROH, anywhere like that they haven't listened to the suggestions yet?
Yeah, you'd think they would listen after the, Samoa Joe, but they don't.
Is there anyone in particular? I mean, you've done a lot of independents and you've wrestled a lot of guys that you want to see up in there?
I definitely there's some exhibition guys I'd like to see up there. Delirious, Matt Seidel, those are two of my buddies. I think they just fit right in with TNA's
so do I.
Style. No pun intended.
With your switch to the heel side, is that kind of a struggle for you in any way, because you're with an audience that's a regular, kind of a regular audience in Orlando that appreciates good matches, and so there's a natural inclination to like you because they've seen so many good matches, and is it tough to get them to hate you, and what's kind of your mentality going through with that?
I'm working on them. I don't think they necessarily hate me yet, but like I said, I'm working on them, and I don't. It's hard to when you've been a face for so long to really get people to hate you. It's kind of a struggle, but we'll get there sooner or later.
Let's go to Matt in Connecticut. Matt, you're next up with AJ.
Hi, AJ.
What's up, man?
Not much, man. I was going to ask you about your work in ROH and everything, because I think you're excellent there. But I kind of had a change of heart and wanted to encourage you to actually leave the show after Dave hung up on that first caller, because I don't think it matters what sexual orientation your fans are.
All right. Goodbye. Let's go to John in California.
Dave.
Yeah. They came out of the woodwork tonight. John, are you up?
Hey, AJ, big fan.
Cool, man. Thanks.
I just wanted to ask you, are you trying to tone down your style now that you're getting a little bit older?
No, it's just different wrestlers, different matches, man. That's basically what it's come down to. Some people just aren't able to do the same kind of style, so you got to change it up a little bit. I'm not as crazy and stupid as I used to be, and take as many risks. I'd like to make everything make sense. I don't just want to give my whole arsenal away, but
yeah,
I
was going to ask you, what was your favorite match with Pacific Person?
Favorite match is what?
Favorite match with anybody? Like, who'd you like wrestling against the most?
I always have great matches with Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe, so that'd be my first pick.
Okay. All right. Have a good day.
Thanks.
How about Abyss? You guys have been having matches for about 5 years now.
Oh yeah, we have had some great matches. That's true, man. I've never had a bad match with him. They've always been good. So
you had matches with him before TNA, right?
Yeah, I sure did.
Now with Christopher Daniels, was the first time you wrestled, was that in Florida, like years and years ago?
Yep, it sure was. I believe it was the 52nd anniversary of NWA, and that's where it started.
Because I remember, because it was the second match in Vallejo, California?
I want to say that it was in Tampa.
Okay, because I just remember that you had the first match that I remember in Florida, and then fairly soon afterwards, they brought you guys to Vallejo for the King of Indies, which was kind of, a lot of people don't know this, but that was the show that actually...
yeah, that was the second match.
Yeah, that was the show that, like, influenced ROH, because I remember,
right.
you know, do you ever think back, because that was an unbelievable night for me as a fan, and Bryan was, you know, there actually wrestling on it, was, if we look back on that, because those two nights were fantastic as far as wrestling goes, but when you look at the guys from, you know, Low Key, or who's now Senshi, and you, and Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe, and Bryan Danielson, and and Spanky, you know, who's, of course, Brian Kendrick in WWE, so many of those guys were, you know, basically everyone was unknowns, and, you know, so many of the guys ended up being, you know, like just the best workers of today, really.
Yeah, you know, we talk about that, you know, ever so often, you know, how cool that was. That was the first time that we actually all really got to meet each other, because I just known Christopher Daniels. Other than that, I didn't really know any of the other guys. So it was pretty cool, to especially see where we've come from. You know, all of us, we've worked hard, and, you know, the rewards are either you're working for WWE or working for TNA, and I think that's pretty cool.
Brian, what do you think about that looking back? I mean, you were in the stands watching, and you were wrestling, and look at all those guys that, you know, like look at Bryan Danielson. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world now. And
I was just amazed at the booking, because it was sort of during a period you didn't have Ring of Honor tapes, and you didn't have TNA, and it was interesting that you had a guy that booked all of this talent, and virtually everybody that he booked went on and became something. And awesome matches all night long, and it sort of was the birth of Ring of Honor.
I remember I was sitting with Red Bastien and Nick Bockwinkel, who were, you know, two of the biggest stars of the 70s, and, you know, like, there's this one of the things where, you know, a lot of the old-time guys will watch, you know, modern wrestling, or you ask them about modern wrestling, and, you know, they're very negative because of certain aspects of wrestling that changed and things like that, but they're watching the show. And I think that that's what they were expecting. You know, we're going to some modern independent wrestling show, and, you know, they just, I mean, they gave several of those matches standing ovations. There's something really wild going on with Homicide and Brother Ray right now. I mean, they're doing, whatever they're doing is great. At least it looked great. But anyway, back to that. But I mean, I don't know if you even knew this, but like, you know, were you aware that there were, like, you know, a lot of old-time superstars were at that show, and they were just incredibly positive about, you know, those young guys, you know, the young guys from that show.
I was aware that they were there, but I never really got to meet them. But I definitely was aware, but I wasn't so much that I was thinking about, man, I hope these guys like my match. You know, I was like, okay, got some old wrestlers here. Okay, I'm going to go wrestle. You know?
Yeah.
No disrespect. It was just, you know, I hope they like it, you know.
Is there anybody in TNA right now that you've maybe worked with a few times, maybe in a tag, you mentioned Angle, that you'd like to do a program with?
You know, there's guys that I haven't ever really wrestled, and I'd like to do a program with, you know, that Sanjay Dutt. I've never even wrestled him here.
Really? That's amazing.
And if I have, must have been so short that I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
You know, Alex Shelley's another one. Chris Sabin, you know, these are guys that I've done a little work with, but I've never actually had a program with. So there's definitely some other guys that I would like to work. Me and Christian had a match, never really had a program. I think that we could put together some really good stuff. You know.
Let's go to Frank in Maine. Frank, what's going on? Hello there.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
I have a question for AJ.
Okay.
Are you going back to Ring of Honor anytime soon?
Time will tell, man. The problem is I get booked to other places, and I love Ring of Honor, and I hope they do well. But sometimes I go where the money is, and you know, that's no disrespect, man. I just got to make sure my family gets taken care of.
Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, that's totally understandable. What do you think of Joe challenging Noah? What do you think of that?
Joe challenged Noah, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
what do you think of that?
He definitely put it on one of their bigger guys, you know. So good on him.
Yeah.
And I think that's great for Ring of Honor. You know, they get the Noah crowd into it because it's still pretty big in Japan as far as Noah goes. I know the rest of them are struggling, but Noah seems to be doing okay.
Yeah, Noah seems to be the best company right now, and that's great for Noah and Ring of Honor. So
absolutely,
they got a really good relationship. It's really unique because my experience as far as you know, American companies working with Japanese companies, it's never. I don't know that I've ever seen a relationship work as smoothly as Noah and Ring of Honor. Because like in the old days, New Japan and WCW used to always work together, and it was always, I mean, when Bischoff was there, it wasn't. At times, it was actually very good, but there's always these things that got in the way constantly, and somehow these guys, I think because both companies are hungry and they both actually offer something. Like for the Ring of Honor guys going over there, it's kind of legitimacy in a sense because they're working for a big promotion, and then for the Noah guys, it's an ability to not only come to the United States, but come to the United States and work in front of a fan base that knows them. And I think it's helped Kenta a lot as far as his standing in Japan because he's, to a degree, as far as on tape in front of those people in Ring of Honor, he's an American superstar even though he's a Japanese wrestler. So.
Yeah, that's true. Cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Very welcome. Let's go to Tim in Virginia. Tim, what's going on? Tim, are you there?
Hey, Jay.
Yo, what's up, man?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
I'm looking at the pay-per-view right now, man. It's a good show.
I appreciate it.
Oh, good.
What do you think the chances are maybe Goldberg getting on the TNA roster?
I'm gonna give you a no comment on that one. I hope that's okay, man.
There is Goldberg starts on Spike on his TV show in March, so I don't know what that means, but it may mean something. Hey, Jay, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I know that not at 100% after a pretty rough match and a rough move there, and just want to tell everyone that the Kurt Angle Samoa Joe 30-minute Iron Man match is starting momentarily. They're actually doing the footage building up the match, so if you've been paying attention, you're watching both, something good's about to happen, most likely. So I'm looking forward to it. AJ, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, man.
Okay, and best of luck to you, and hopefully doing well. And we will be back. I want to remind everyone we will be back next week. You're listening to Wrestling Observer Live on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network.